Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. Guys, so day number 3 of our nutrition essentials week. On Monday, we talked all about protein, the kind, the foods, the amount that we need to maintain optimal health and performance and fitness and lean body weight. On Tuesday, we talked about all the essential fats that we need to eat to again maintain optimal function, optimal health, optimal energy levels and hormonal systems. We talked all about fats, essential, non-essential, good for you, not good for you, what's good amount, where to eat all of your essential fats that are absolutely needed to be present in our diet. And today, guys, we are talking about the third really essential element that for a while was kind of forgotten, and a lot of people still try to claim that it's not that important until they get into a lot of digestive and gut problems, and also a lot of times weight problems and so many other things. Today we're talking about fiber, guys. So fiber, why fiber is important? It's not needed by any human organ, really, but it is needed for what some scientists actually do refer as another human organ, but it is not a part of a human body. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about gut microbiome, guys. All these organisms that, by the way, there are not just bacteria, but also fungi and viruses and other organisms, probably even some that we don't even know about. There are like trillions of them. Some say somewhere around 100 trillion of different organisms living in our gut microbiome. To give you a better idea of how big it is, our brain is somewhere around 3 pounds, so about 1.5 kilograms by weight. And our gut microbiome is about 5 pounds. So it's about 2.5 kilograms, or again 5 pounds. It's bigger than a brain, and a lot of researchers, a lot of scientists refer to our gut as the second brain, because actually it also has its own nervous system, and there is a highway called vagus nerve, not an actual highway, of course, but this line of neurons allowing our gut to communicate directly to our brain and also back. But interestingly enough, brain sends many more signals up to our brain than the brain sent back to our gut. It seems like the gut accumulates all the information about our external environment, because our gut has to digest all the foods coming from outside, but also our internal environment, different hormones and stress molecules and biomarkers and inflammatory biomarkers. So the gut kind of accumulates all of that, this information about our external environment, and also the rest of our body that is kind of external to our brain too, and it gives all of it to brain, and then the brain makes decision like what to adjust, what hormones to produce, what substances to produce, how to adjust insulin, blood sugar levels, etc. So it's a very interesting interaction, and these days, a lot of scientists are working on understanding it better. But the bottom line is, guys, what happens in your gut is very important, like super important. It affects every single organ system, every single thought and emotion you are experiencing, all the biochemistry happening in your body at any given moment. It all relies on your gut to be well, to communicate properly signals that your gut acquires from external environment and from inside of your body. And that gut, especially good gut bacteria that produce a lot of beneficial compounds, that gut, it needs to be fed. It's like a pet, it needs food, and if you don't give it any food, it's not going to be well, and in return, it's not gonna make you feel well. In fact, you might feel pretty shitty if your gut is in a bad space. But the gut is, it's a community of different organisms. So if you decide to pursue and stay on a diet consisting of a lot of processed foods and a lot of junk foods, then there are going to be a lot of bacteria that are not that beneficial to you, that create pro-inflammatory compounds and different substances that are more toxic and poisonous and make you feel and perform worse and live and make your life shorter. You need to eat fiber from whole foods to feed good gut bacteria that are more symbiotic to our relationship, meaning that they actually help us to stay healthier, to feel better, to live longer. And fiber for them, fiber from whole foods are important. Whole plant foods, of course, animal foods. I don't actually know of any animal foods that has fiber. I don't think there is any. Fiber is essential element of plants, not animals. So anyhow, guys, that 100 trillion bacteria and other organisms, you need to feed them, especially the beneficial ones, the ones who produce, for example, when eating soluble fiber, short chain fatty acids, just a scientific term for a family of fats that when they are produced in our gut, they seem to affect in a positive way everything from our well-being to our inflammatory markers. And they are especially important because they feed the organisms that maintain the integrity of our gut lining. And there is a very thin layer of cells that line our gut. And these cells are designed in a very intricate way to let the good stuff, the nutrients, into our bloodstream, so all of our cells in our brain and all of our organs and tissues can get the nutrition. But that lining also has to not let all the poisonous stuff, possible pathogens in. That lining is very important. And diet high in processed foods, those fats that we talked yesterday about, pro-inflammatory fats, industrial fats, and a lot of other substances in processed foods. So they destroy that gut lining, making it leaky. They destroy it via either feeding certain organisms that destroy our lining, or disturbing the balance when we don't have enough those good organisms that maintain the integrity of that gut lining. So very different mechanisms. If we eat a lot of processed foods and not enough of soluble fiber, then our gut lining is not going to be in a good shape, and we might experience a lot of uncomfortable feelings and reactions when we consume different foods. We might develop a lot of sensitivities, allergies, IBS, PCOS, like so many things and also anxieties and stress and feeling worried or obsessed about something that also has a lot to do with what's happening in our gut. And if our gut is leaky, you can experience all of that and more. We are still yet to understand the full spectrum of influences that happens in our gut when, gut lining is compromised or something, or there is imbalance not in our favor. So now we understand that gut microbiome is very important. And we understand that maintaining balance of certain organisms, beneficial organisms, maintaining that balance is also very important. And to maintain that balance, we need to eat fiber. And there are two kinds of fibers, soluble and insoluble. And the main difference, guys, you want to understand is that soluble fiber, it's actual food for those beneficial kind of bacteria, bacteria that eats that soluble fiber and then create different compounds, among which are short chain fatty acids that help to maintain the integrity of our gut lining, right? So soluble fiber, we need to eat that. But also insoluble fiber is important because it helps to slow down digestion, to gradually release nutrients into our bloodstream, maintaining, for example, stable blood sugar and insulin levels. We also need that insoluble fiber to move everything out of our intestines faster. So everything that our body decides we don't need, all the garbage, all the possible pathogens, so poop it out. We need insoluble fiber. So you need both. And how do you eat both in a simple, easy way? Well, you gotta have a variety of plant-based foods. So you gotta eat not just broccoli, but things like, although broccoli do have some soluble and insoluble fiber, but ideally you would have different amounts of fruit and vegetables and maybe nuts and seeds and beans and tubers and whole grains, the ones that work for you. And that's the ideal situation for your gut microbiome to feed different varieties of organisms in our gut. And they recommend to you, scientists, researchers of human health recommend to eat at the very least 30 grams of fiber. For guys, it's actually a little bit more. I think it's 38. And for women, it's about 30. But more is better. I personally shoot for no less than 40. And on my good days, when I'm really, really happy, I get 50 and more, especially when I decide to eat a lot of nuts and seeds. I get a lot of fiber. Did you know, guys, that, for example, nuts and seeds are probably the highest in fibers? A lot of insoluble, also some soluble. So you would have per 100 grams or 3 ounces, somewhere around 10 grams of fiber. That is quite a lot. Of course, it's a lot of calories. That's why you probably want to eat other foods for fiber. But they are also great sources of fiber. To give you an idea how I get 40 plus grams of fiber every day. So to start my eating window, I eat about a pound of different fruit and berries, some bananas, some berries, some stone fruit like apricots or nectarines. Sometimes I eat mangoes that are also very high, by the way, in fiber. So about a pound or 500 grams. Then during my day, I would have about 50-60 grams of different nuts and seeds. Then I would have either something like sweet potatoes or a cooked cup of beans. A lot of fiber also there, especially beans. Beans are also among champion foods for fiber per a cup. Let me actually look it up for you. For example, black beans cooked per 1/2 cup, so 1/2 cup would have 7 grams of fiber. So if you eat a whole cup, then it's like 14 grams of fiber. Can you imagine? So a lot of fiber in beans. That's why probably, most of longest living people with the healthiest guts ever, almost all of them in different parts of the world called blue zones, eat a lot of beans because, again, a lot of fiber, a lot of different nutrients, plant-based protein, minerals, and calories wise, not so high as something like nuts and seeds, for example. And also to give you an idea, so for example, black beans cooked 1/2 cup, 7 grams of fiber, and they have a nice split between soluble and insoluble, and that's actually ideal scenario. That's why also beans are so amazing for you, because they have half soluble, half insoluble, and your gut bacteria get fed, and then also you get insoluble fiber to move stuff through your digestive tract, to slow it down when needed, and to speed it up, to let it all out, poop it all out. So, gut microbiome, you cannot go around without not talking about poop. Almonds, for example, also give you an idea of mostly insoluble fiber. So not going to be feeding your gut that much, but a lot of fiber that's just going to move out the stuff out of your intestines, of your digestive tract. So almonds, 1 ounce or 30 grams, about 40 grams of fiber total, 3.5 of which is insoluble, and just somewhere around 0.5, 0.7 is soluble fiber. Now, vegetables that are higher in fiber. Oh, by the way, guys, so I was talking about nuts and seeds, and then beets, and then the last part of my fiber rich diet is for my dinners. I eat about 400 grams of green vegetables, and the highest in fibers vegetables are things like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, asparagus is quite high. Artichoke is super high, guys, in soluble fiber that feeds your gut. So artichoke, one medium artichoke would have 4.7, almost 5 grams of soluble fiber, and some insoluble, about 2 grams, compared to, let's say, Brussels sprouts that have only 1.7 grams of soluble fiber, 1.9 insoluble. So nice split we have here. And then Brussels sprouts would have total 3.6 grams of fiber per cup cooked. So vegetables, what's not killed is it's actually also quite a good source of especially insoluble fiber. Not so much soluble, just 2 grams, but 1 cup of cooked kale would give you 7 grams of fiber. But things like spinach, for example, or lettuces or herbs, they really are very low in fiber, maybe like 1 gram per 100 grams, and you'll have like 100 grams for lettuce or spinach. It's a lot. So those are not great sources of fiber, but kale is. Sweet potato, for example, we have 1 medium, 5 grams of fiber. Again, nice split between soluble and insoluble. Squashes, different kinds of pumpkins, about 2.5 per half a cup cooked, but also great source of, fibers, different kinds of squashes, again, soluble and insoluble. When it comes to grains, guys, oatmeal, 4 grams of fiber per 1 cup of cooked oats. And again, we have quite a lot of actually soluble fiber and some insoluble fiber. And also actually popcorn, air popped. If you like popcorn, so per 3 cups of air popped popcorn, you're gonna get 3.5 grams of fiber, most of which is soluble, that feeds your gut bacteria. Grains are an okay source of fiber, except for like wheat bran. If you eat like morning cereal that doesn't have any added sugars, but it has a lot of wheat bran, then you're gonna get a lot of fiber naturally. If you're okay with wheat products, that might be a good thing, for some of you to have. Fruit would usually have more soluble fiber, or sometimes a split of soluble and insoluble. Like, for example, apple has a lot of soluble fiber, 4 grams per 1 medium, some insoluble, 1.4 grams. Pears, for example, champions for insoluble fiber. So the most important thing, guys, is you can see here that fruit, vegetables, nuts and seeds are super high, and beans are super high. But then we have sweet potatoes and squashes. We have grains. By the way, guys, rice is quite a popular grain, and it's not actually that high in fiber. Even if you take brown rice, there is only 1.4 grams of fiber total per 1.4 per half a cup cooked. Again, compared to something like oats that would have 4 grams of fiber, right? Brown rice would have just 1.4. So as you can see, if you eat a lot of plant-based foods, you're going to get a lot of fiber. And again, I recommend to have a split, meaning some fruit, some beans and starchy vegetables, some nuts and seeds, a lot of green vegetables, a lot, because they have very little calories, they have a lot of nutrients. But remember that spinach and all kinds of lettuces do not have a lot of fiber. So you would probably want to have something with the bulk, like Brussels sprouts, or broccoli, or artichokes are amazing. Or what else do we have here? Like asparagus is also quite good, right? So good split. Again, I eat about a pound of fruit and berries every day, about 50 grams of nuts and seeds, a cup of cooked beans or one sweet potatoes, and then like 400-500 grams of green vegetables. And that's how I get 400-500 grams of, or 40-50 grams of fiber. And again, if I decide to eat a lot of nuts, that I can shoot for like 100 grams. That also happens quite often. And it's quite a lot of bulk. It's quite a lot of food. But what's also good about it, you get so much nutrition with that. The only like grains are probably not that great when it comes to calories and nutrition. They like have, some of them have quite good amount of fiber, but when it comes to nutrients, not that much. That's why I'm not such a huge fan of grains, because they just don't have much nutrients, except maybe for like quinoa, buckwheat, but not something like wheat bread. That's probably like really not that nutritious. That's why they fortify it with a bunch of stuff. Anyhow, guys, so the bulk of those foods, fruit and vegetables and nuts and seeds and some beans and starches, it's not just a lot of fiber, it's also a lot of nutrition that your body, your brain, all of your organs and tissues need. And plus it helps you to maintain such great satiety levels. Like when I finish my food for the day, I'm like, I cannot eat any more of anything. Like I'm so full, because fiber, again, it has so much volume, plus it attracts water, and so you're literally feeling like you're just so full of food you cannot eat any longer. Even though when everything is digested and you poop out the fiber, you are getting much less than you'd think you are getting with that amount of fullness that you are feeling. So fiber, super important for your gut health and your whole body health, and also your mental health, because again, this organ, that we have, our second brain in our gut, it regulates and contributes to maintenance and wellness of all the systems in our body, even again mental health and your emotional health and your thoughts. So we need to feed it. I would suggest probably a couple of pounds of plant-based material in your diet every day. So on my Instagram today, guys, participate to figure out how much fiber you eat. I have a post on my Instagram in my stories, and it says fiber game or something like that. So there is a question box, and you can submit the foods, the amount of those foods, plant-based foods that you eat today, and I'm going to calculate fiber and tell you the amount, and I will tell you how much soluble and insoluble fiber you also eat, and maybe also my personal recommendation for different fibers and foods that to add to your diet to optimize your gut health. And optimizing your gut health, guys, it's the next level in today's medicine. So get on it, play fiber game with me today on Instagram, and let's start feeding our gut properly so we feel amazing and we contribute to our long-term health and well-being. And that's it, guys. Fiber episode is out. Re-listen to this episode to listen to my fiber routine, to re-listen to the information about different fiber-rich foods. If you have any questions, of course, please do reach out. And I'm gonna help you figure out the best fiber routine for you. Please share this episode with anyone who you know who might be experiencing gut issues, because chances are fiber is the answer, the right kind, in the right amount, the right kind of foods. Also, it helps a lot, of course, with weight loss and ideal body weight maintenance, and to maintain stable blood sugar. Eat your fiber, guys. Eat your plant-based whole foods with a lot of fiber, different kinds of fibers, and you're going to be in such a better health state. That being said, guys, stay tuned for 2 more episodes this week. We're going to be talking about more essentials in your diet to support your optimal health, and start adjusting your meal plan also, guys. That's the most important part, the action part. So stay tuned. And guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Until next time, eat better daily.